Good morning, everybody. It's me. Not quite set up like I wanted to be, but hi, I'm here, and welcome to the show. Today, there's some breaking news in a couple parts of the world that I got to get to, so we'll talk about those first, and then we're going to talk a little bit about Andrew Cuomo, because, you know, everyone's favorite governor is up to no good again. And of course, he's running from the Rahm Emanuel playbook. And although the problem that the playbook is when you say let no emergency or let no whatever go to waste, let no crisis go to waste. The problem is Governor Cuomo, one, created the crisis, and two, is you pulling some powers straight out of his hind parts. And we'll get to that in a moment after I play the intro. Hi, everybody. Johnny, please play the intro. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way, but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, PDawg Knight. And stop the music. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as PDawgKnight on the internet. And welcome back to the Dawg Knight Channel. It is Wednesday, July 7th, 2021. This is the, what number is this? 618th episode of the Morning Night Live. And we're calling it predictable because something that we talked about a while back with these governors getting their new COVID powers has starting to show some predictable results. Now, let me just streaming. I forgot to do my what do you call it? My Twitter notification. So I'm going to just pop that out here while I'm trying to figure this out. But yeah, so we'll talk about that in a moment. However, we do have some breaking news that is probably a little more, well, just stuff that's happened recently that it makes you go, partially, well, for reasons that you may not recognize immediately. But let me finish this real quick, because I don't want to see. Now, this is not the most entertaining part of the show, except for the fact that when I forget to do it, I always have to sit here and fill dead air. I'm not very good at filling dead air because, you know, I tend to read things and see things and whatnot. But by the way, this could remind you, though, that if you follow me on social media, right up here at PDawgKnight, I am on Twitter, Minds, Gab, CloudHub, and Parler, and soon to be on, what's that new one that, Getter? Who the hell came up with that name? I don't know, but apparently that's the new Trump version of Twitter. So I'll open an account on there too, but you know, most of you are either on Twitter, YouTube, or some of the main stuff. I don't do the Facebook thing. I'm on Facebook. I have a PDawgKnight Facebook page. I don't really use it. I haven't even checked it probably since I opened it, and I try not to use it anyway. And my personal Facebook, I barely go on there too. I just don't like it, and I just don't want to be there, and so I just don't go there that often. But the only one I'm on that isn't at PDawgKnight though is I am on Instagram, mostly photos of things that we're doing, waterfalls or flowers or things in the garden, or the landscaping that I'm doing in my backyard. I got pictures of that on there too. So that's what I do on social media. But Twitter, I tend to get into either minor arguments or just get caught up in the news. And speaking of the news, one of the big breaking stories this morning is the president of Haiti has been killed in an attack at his home. Now, this is it's fascinating to me. I apparently there were, let's see, Claude Joseph. Okay, here it is. Haiti's president, Jovenel Moise, has been killed in an attack on his home in the nation's capital. According to the country's interim prime minister, Claude Joseph said the president's home in Port-au-Prince was stormed by unidentified armed men at 1 a.m. local time. Well, this says 1 o'clock local time. I don't know if they mean a.m. or p.m. Oh, yeah, in the morning, 0500 GMT. First Lady Martine Moise was injured in the attack. Mr. Joseph said that all measures had been taken to guarantee the continuity of the state. He has now taken control of the impoverished Caribbean nation and has urged the public to remain calm. He called the shooting of the president a heinous, inhumane, barbaric act. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson tweeted that he was shocked and saddened at the death of Mr. Moise, calling it an abhorrent act and appealing for calm. The White House called the killing a horrific crime. The neighboring Dominican Republic ordered the immediate closure of its border with Haiti. Moise was 53, had been in power since February 2017. His time in office was rocky as he faced accusations of corruption and was challenged by waves of often violent anti-government protests. Wow, a corrupt president of Haiti. I've never heard of that before. Good God. There was widespread demonstrations in the capital and other cities earlier this year as people demanded his resignation. Haiti's opposition said that Mr. Moise's 5-year term should have ended on February 7th, 5 years to the day since his predecessor, Michael Martelly, stepped down. But there had been a year's delay to elections after Martelly's departure, and Mr. Moise insisted he had one more year to serve as he did not take office until 7th February 2017. But in February this year, on the day the opposition wanted him to leave office, Mr. Moise said an attempt to kill him and overthrow the government has been foiled. Haiti is a notoriously unstable, dangerous place. I wonder if this particular president had ever complained about the money that the Clinton Foundation raised for Haiti. Which, because you never know if this could be Arkansas, but I shouldn't joke about that. But anyway, so that's the big news that is happening. Also in the news today, there's an update in the Florida building collapse. The death toll has risen to 36 as another 4 bodies recovered early evening have been found due to the hard work despite the rain and other adverse condition. We have recovered 4 additional victims. Miami-Dade Mayor Daniela Levine Cava told reporters hours after 4 other bodies were found in the rubble. Cava said 29 of the bodies have been identified. Another 109 people are still missing. The mayor also said she received a call from President Biden earlier in the day to check on the progress of the rescue efforts. FEMA and other federal agencies are now at the site of the collapse. The update comes as hundreds of first responders continue to sift through the ruins of Champlain Towers South in Surfside, which collapsed on June 24th. So, and they're battling some high winds and possible hurricane conditions. Officials are saying that a storm lashing Florida strengthens into a hurricane now as opposed to a tropical storm. Weather forecasters say a storm that has been lashing Florida over the past day has intensified into a hurricane. Let's see, storm lashing Florida strengthens. Okay, they use the same line over and over. A storm that has lashed the Caribbean and the Florida Keys with pounding rain, gusty winds, and complicated search for survivors in a deadly condominium collapse has strengthened into a hurricane. The National Weather Service said Tuesday that Hurricane Elsa was packing high winds as high as 75 miles per hour as it hurtled towards Florida northern Gulf Coast. The Category 1 storm is expected to make landfall between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. Wednesday, which would have been an hour ago, or 2 hours ago, excuse me. The East Coast, 10 o'clock. So yeah, 2 hours ago. So I guess we'll have more information on that as things happen. But if this article will be in the tabs below. Other news today, look, regardless of his politics, Jimmy Carter is one of my favorite ex-presidents. I think Jimmy Carter and Rosalind Carter are good people who were just terrible at government, and I don't like his politics, but he's still one of my favorite ex-presidents because this man has been, and still to this day, does a lot of work for Habitat for Humanity, not just as a spokesmodel, as some people would do. He actually gets out there with hammers and saws and things like that and helps build houses. And that's why I can appreciate Jimmy Carter. Well, Jimmy and Rosalind Carter celebrate 75 years of marriage. That is amazing. Former President Jimmy Carter and his former First Lady Rosalind Carter marked their 75 years of marriage on Wednesday, a union that spans decades of public service from rural Georgia to the White House and beyond. The couple's been side by side in a winding life journey defined by Carter's turn in the Oval Office, but driven by the pair's unyielding passion for serving others. That's why I respect the man. Together, the Carters have refined the role of former First Family through their sprawling volunteer work, building homes while still working to advance peace abroad. Both former President Oops, what the hell happened there? Both a former president. Why does it keep scrolling on me? That's kind of messing me up here. Both a former president and Nobel Peace Prize laureate, which unfortunately has been devalued greatly. Jimmy Carter has called marrying Rosalind a pinnacle of my life. The best thing I ever did was marrying Rosalind, he once said. Beginning before Bill Clinton and Barack Obama were even born, the longest presidential marriage in history didn't begin with a simple yes. When Jimmy, then a fresh-faced U.S. Naval Academy student, first proposed, Rosalind Smith, as she was known then, rejected him because of a promise she made at 13 to her dying father that she'd finish college before marrying. So there they are as a young couple. And she kept her promise, and they married only after she graduated from Georgia Southwestern College. As Rosalind recounted in her memoir, The First Lady from Plains, the pair grew up 3 years and 3 miles apart. There were no girls in town who were her age, so Rosalind became best friends with Jimmy's young sister. I thought he was the most handsome young man I'd ever seen, she wrote. The pair went on their first date in the summer of 1945, after which Jimmy told his mother, "She's the girl I want to marry." And he did so the following year. So you can read the rest of this story. I'm not going to read the rest. There's a lot here. But again, Midnight Exile, Jimmy Carter isn't a good person. He wore an aw shucks grin while he destroyed our manufacturing base and sowed the seeds for outsourcing destruction of our working class. Yeah, that's okay. Here's where I'm going here. He was a terrible president. He was one of the worst presidents. He may be the worst president we've ever had. I'm saying by his deeds and actions post-presidency, that's why he's one of my favorite ex-presidents. As far as his work with Habitat for Humanity, I think his politics suck, and I think he was a terrible president. So I guess I'm compartmentalizing what I want to think about Jimmy Carter. But let's put it this way. I have a lot of respect for his work with Habitat for Humanity. So, all right. So those are the big headlines of the day. I have more, but we'll get into that after I say good morning to everybody. Hey, how you doing? Now there's 21 people here. That's fantastic. That's a good start. By the way, as I mentioned in the pinned tweet pinned chat up there. Today is bring your friends. Invite a friend day on the Morning Night Live. Please share the stream, and the tickets are half off for all your friends and family, and you get in for free. So you know how that works. Anyway, also while you're here, if you like what we do, hit the like button. Also, I already said share, but also if you want to be a sponsor of the show, YouTube Super Chats down there. But better yet, Streamlabs, because then you don't give 30% of your money to Susan Wishishiki. Is that how you say her name? Wishishiki. Something like that. Anyway. All right, let's say hello. First in the chat today was Jonathan Peterson, who gets the bell And thank you for being here. I appreciate you coming and watching the show and being a regular time supporter of the show. Also, good morning to Select a Boy.
Yeah, boy.
Also, good morning, People's Front of Canada. T-Balls in the house. Small man, what's happening? Oh, wait, what? Just waiting. Ignorance week? Okay, I was just reading that. Also, good morning, King on Common Law. Hello, K-Shaw's in the house. Also, good morning, DI Freighter Watcher, who's gonna be doing a little lurking today. Might be driving, might be working or something. But, lurk away. I enjoy it when people lurk. I'm happy if you lurk, watch later. Don't call me late for dinner. Is that how that saying goes? I don't know. Anyway, also, good morning, Hig. And, from sunny Florida. It looks like they're in the home base today with Cindy back there in the background. Hello, both of you. Also, good morning, Aaron Meredith. What's happening? Chris Kroll, nice to see you. Horrible Gamer. Yes, it is normal for Haiti. Yes, good morning, Horrible Gamer. Tyler F's in the house. Assassin of the Gray. What's happening? Attack Alpacas here. Midnight in Exile. And Jim Beam. Aaron, I did say I remember. Richo's in the house, my friend from Australia. How you doing? Also, good morning too. That's the end. That's all of them. So there's probably more of you out there lurking and don't have time to chat. And that's fine. Just listen, enjoy, and have a cup of coffee with me. Speaking of which, I do have my cup of reparations cuppy. It's Trail Stop. It's Trail Stop cup. Oh, I forgot to say, it's also Hump Day. Only, just try to be careful who you hump because, you just don't want to get in trouble. If that makes sense, I'm sure it does. All right, let's talk about... Let's talk about the America's. Oh, James Colley. Hello. Did I say that? I don't know. Wait, what's going on now? Is that all of them? That's all of who? I don't know. Dinner at PDawgs. You heard it first. Wait, what? Dinner at PDawgs? What? Why are we talking about dinner at PDawgs? Okay, cool. William Henry Harrison did the best as an ex-president. Really? I don't know about a whole lot about his post-presidency, Midnight in Exile. But anyway, all right, let's go here. Andrew Cuomo, everyone's favorite governor. He says quite sarcastically, has decided that his so they've given a lot of these governors, right? During COVID, the COOF, have used basically emergency powers to tell you where you can go and where you can shop, what you can do. In a sense, what you can eat, because they made places close, right? And they closed a lot of small business. They were a boon to the big giant corporation businesses and retail and whatnot. But they and the governors just, kind of this power thing, in my mind, went to their head, and they, sometimes the legislatures would have to pull them back a bit and whatnot. Well, Andrew Cuomo kind of enjoys this emergency power he has, and he's kind of expanding it a little bit, and it's really disconcerting to those of you who believe in the United States Constitution. So, and this is fascinating because we knew that as these governors began to enjoy these special powers, that they weren't going to let them go, and they were probably going to try to use them for other things. Now, the one that I thought of first when we were talking about this, back last year when these governors started, shutting down things, the first one I thought of was, well, they're going to do this for climate change. And I still predict that that's going to be another one of the big ones because they're saying it's a climate emergency, right? These solar flares are kicking our ass, by the way. It's hot out in the West Coast and even up in parts of Canada. It's really hot. But now we know that there's some major solar flares going on the sun, which can cause problems. But let's talk about these emergency powers that Andrew Cuomo wants to enact. By the way, good morning, James PFP. Good morning, Gunfox61. Breaking news, Andrew Cuomo is seizing emergency powers to fight gun violence, public health emergency. Public health emergency is gun violence. It's a public health emergency. See, you know that there's because crime's rising and people are getting killed, or whatnot. Public health emergency. On Tuesday, Governor Andrew Cuomo pioneered a new strategy to grasp for near dictatorial power, declaring gun violence in the state of New York a, quote, public health crisis, end quote, and a, quote, disaster emergency, end quote. Cuomo touted his First in the Nation initiative as a positive step for New York rather than an excuse to circumvent the legislature. Cuomo even cited his own tyrannical abuses during the stupid 19 pandemic as a precedent for the overreach. Interesting. Democrats have dropped hints that they might use various, quote, public health emergency declarations as an excuse to grasp power and circumvent the normal legislative process. Democrats have filed a bill to declare a national emergency on climate, for example. Yes, that's what I think they're going to use it for. And President Biden himself called guns a, quote, public health crisis, end quote. And perhaps Cuomo intends to inspire Biden to run roughshod over Congress. Good morning, Black Hebrew Israelites.
That's right.
And Lord Stanhope. What's happening? We're building. This is Cuomo. We're building New York. Oh, wait a minute. We're building New York better than before, but part of rebuilding and addressing the systemic injustices that were exposed by COVID. If you look at the recent numbers, more people are now dying from gun violence and crime than COVID. This is a national problem, but someone has to step up and address this problem because our future depends on it, Cuomo said in a statement on the executive order. Yeah. Hi. Good morning, Avocados Diabli. Just like we did, he continues, just like we did with COVID, New York is going to lead the nation once again with a comprehensive approach. Those are some some word salad words in there, to combating and preventing gun violence. And our first step is acknowledging the problem with a first in the nation disaster emergency on gun violence. When we see an injustice, we don't look the other way. We stand up and fight it because that's the New York way, the governor added. Yes, Selecta Boy. Yes, FTG Cuomo. Also, good morning, Alone. How you doing? Always lost in someone. Nothing else is here. That photo says it all. Cuomo hand gesture says, "I don't know what I'm doing here." This is not good. This is bad. This is bad. The governor's office explained that Cuomo's new strategy treats gun violence as a public health crisis using short-term solutions. I wonder what those are, to manage the immediate gun violence crisis and reduce the shooting rate, as well as long-term solutions that focus on community-based intervention and prevention strategies to break the cycle of violence. The disaster emergency allows the state to expedite money and resources to communities so they can begin targeting gun violence immediately. What does that mean? What are they going to do? Good morning, Moonbase Radio. What the hell does that mean? Does that mean they're going to confiscate guns from legal gun owners? I don't know. I cannot figure it out. But I got a feeling that they're going to push the limits as far as Second Amendment protections. Cuomo's executive order will declare gun violence disaster emergency, require New York Division of Criminal Justice Service to gather and share incident-level data from police departments on gun violence, create the Office of Gun Violence Prevention, direct resources to emerging gun violence hotspots, invest $138.7 million with an M dollars on intervention, prevention, and jobs programs for at-risk youth, and create a new state police gun trafficking interdiction unit to stop the flood of illegal guns that come into New York from states with weak gun safety laws. You know what's fascinating about that? What exactly is a weak gun safety law? I haven't quite figured that out. And the flood of illegal guns that come to New York from other states with weak gun safety, what is that? Because there is no state in the union where you don't have to get a federal background check. There just isn't. And anyway, in other words, New York will have a police unit trained to prevent Americans who live in states that honor the Second Amendment from bringing their firearms into the Empire State. Not only has Cuomo made the Orwellian claim that gun violence is a matter of public health rather than of individual evil advice, he has also suggested that states protect gun rights have, quote, weak gun safety laws. Holy shit. Let's see. His declaration is that this obscene gun control move is just like what he did during the stupid 19 pandemic proves unintentionally revealing. Under Cuomo, New York did indeed lead America during the stupid 19 pandemic in terms of high case and fatality numbers per capita and overall. In fact, the first wave of stupid 19 that affected most of America came through New York City, and even the left-leaning ProPublica blamed Cuomo and New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio for that spread. Later on in the pandemic, Cuomo issued hard lockdown measures specifically targeting Jewish communities, what he termed a predominantly ultra-Orthodox cluster. As the Black Lives Matter and Antifa riots broke out in New York City at night, de Blasio sent police to disperse Jewish mothers and their children from a playground in broad daylight. On March 25th, 2020. Okay, they're just going through this, what he did and how he blew it in New York for that. But here's where he's at. Cuomo appealed to small businesses that dared to mock his. Okay, that's the lockdown. So anyway, we know his record. Going into fighting COVID. So we should be extra nervous about him using similar type of powers for gun safety, gun safety. Well, of course, the New York Post has panned this whole fiasco. Andrew Cuomo's new gun crime push is utterly pathetic. This is from the New York Post. Waking up to the fact that voters are worried about crime, scandal-battered Governor Andrew Cuomo on Tuesday lurched for some good headlines by dropping an executive order declaring a statewide gun violence emergency. Which is funny. Is it statewide or is this just happening in that one big city in the corner? But his initiatives were all plainly chosen with an eye on not offending lefty sensibilities. After all, the hard left assembly still has an impeachment probe going. They won't do much to turn the tide that over the holiday weekend saw 14 shot in Buffalo, 5 in Syracuse, and 26 in New York City in the latest statewide surge in gun crimes. Okay, it is statewide. To do that, he'd need to start working to undo all the foolish laws he passed on his watch. Hey, there you go. There's not a word in his long release about fixing the disastrous bail reforms that he so proudly signed on to. Not even one that guaranteed that nobody see jail time just because he got caught with an illegal gun. Yeah! People got caught with an illegal gun, but they don't necessarily have to fail any jail time? Maybe that would be a start in getting illegal guns off the street. If someone's caught with an illegal gun, maybe, just maybe, you can finish that sentence yourself. Anyway, nor about undoing his say their name package of restrictions on cops, which encourage police all across New York to look the other way rather than act when they see suspicious activity, lest the officer's career be ruined by good faith attempts to proactively protect the public. Instead, he's telling the state police to do more to cut the flow of illegal guns from out of state, but guns used illegally in New York are typically a decade old. Imports aren't driving the crisis. They're just a safe target for bold action. The governor makes a big deal of treating the bloodshed as a public health crisis, signaling that his help will be all about supposed root causes, not actually getting guns off the streets. His $138.7 million for intervention and prevention means more violence interrupters and social workers. Not more or even better policing. This is ridiculous. I got to tell you, it's ridiculous on its face that he's going to, one, the dictatorial powers that he's going to use makes you wonder if, I don't know. What is he going to do? He's just going to say, next thing he's going to do is go, hey, maybe we should confiscate guns too. Did you know during Hurricane Katrina, they were confiscating guns from people? I did not know that. I found that out. I read an article yesterday about that, how much they were going around and confiscating guns. Anyway, so I missed this yesterday, and I didn't even cross my mind. But apparently, yesterday was the 6-month anniversary of the insurrection. Sorry, I said that kind of loud, didn't I? And Joe Biden decided to speak on it yesterday. Speaking of, violence. Existential crisis. What? President Biden marked his 6-month anniversary since pro-Trump rioters stormed the Capitol on January 6th, once again condemning the attackers and offering condolences to the families of Capitol police officers. Condolences? Why don't you usually give condolences to people who die? Now, the one officer had a stroke a day after the Capitol riots, excuse me. But I don't know. Anyway, okay, so these writers once again condemning the attackers and offering condolences to the families of Capitol police officers. House Democrats passed a resolution last week creating a select committee to investigate the circumstances surrounding the January 6th riot. The pro-Trump rioters stormed the Capitol in an attempt to halt the certification of a Biden victory in the 2020 election, which President Trump claimed to be fraudulent or rigged. And that's interesting. The Daily Caller puts in falsely now too. I don't know why they put these editorial comments in their sentences. How do you know he falsely claimed? We're not even done with the audits yet. They're saying falsely claimed to be fraudulent or rigged. Anyway, at least 2 rioters died as a direct result of the violence. Now, I knew Ashley Babbitt, but Roseanne Boylan did too? I thought, well, I guess we'll find out. I didn't know that she died as a direct result of the violence. I don't think so. Ashley Babbitt died because a police officer shot her. And you can kind of go back and forth on whether that she should have been shot, but she was unarmed. And but anyway, I don't know about Rosalind Boylan. I thought she died like of a heart attack or something. Anyway, at least 2 Capitol Hill police officers committed suicide within weeks of the attack. And it's sad for them. It's sad for their families. But what? So anyway, I know. Here goes dumbass Biden. Not even in the Civil War did insurrectionists breach our Capitol, the citadel of our democracy. But 6 months ago today, insurrectionists did. They launched a violent and deadly assault on the People's House. No, they didn't. Violent, but their assault, so-called, wasn't what was deadly. It wasn't. And they're overplaying this so much. Yes, there was a riot. Not the first time there's been attacks on the Capitol. Anyway, violent, deadly assault on the people's house, on the people's representatives, and on the Capitol Police sworn to protect them, as our duly elected Congress carried out the sacred ritual of our republic and certified the Electoral College vote, Biden said in a statement. Oh, sacred. This was not dissent. It was disorder. I thought you said it was an insurrection. Disorder or insurrection? Which is it? It posed an existential crisis and a test of whether our democracy could survive. A sad reminder that there is nothing guaranteed about our democracy, he said. Really? Our representative republic. Oh, but while it shocked and saddened the nation and the world, I don't think it did it sadden the world? It was shocking. I mean, these guys, I thought they were idiots, so I kind of thought, you idiots are making people look bad. While it shocked the nation and the world, 6 months later, we can say unequivocally that democracy did prevail. Well, yeah, 2 hours later, it was over in under 2 hours. And that we must continue to work to protect and preserve it. He continued, that requires people of goodwill and courage. Stand up to the hate. What? Hate. You always got to throw the that hate line in there. This was just people mad. Sorry, got something in my throat. This was just people mad that their candidate lost. And it looked like there were shenanigans. There were people testifying all over the country that there were shenanigans. And these people wanted to halt the vote count until they could audit the vote counts in 6 states. That's what they were there for. They weren't trying to have a coup, or they were not trying to have an insurrection, because you don't have an insurrection without weapons and a plan. There was no plan. Taking over the congressional building is not a plan for an insurrection. Okay? Sorry, it's not. Good God. House Majority Leader Nancy Pelosi announced the Select Committee on January 6th will include 13 members with 8 Democrats, 5 Republicans. Well, no, it's going to be 8 Democrats, 3 to 4 of those Republicans. You know which ones I'm talking about. And maybe one who will ask real questions, who will be drowned out by the rest of the committee. Anyway, Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy has threatened any Republican representative who joins the House Select Committee on January 6th with the removal of all committee appointments. However, nevertheless, Republican Wyoming Representative Liz Cheney has announced that she will join the committee after accepting an appointment from Pelosi. Oh, perfect. She's an the whole committee is going to be anti-Trump. But anyway, and then, and Adam Kinzinger. We're the only House representatives to back the committee. Okay, whatever. So, an existential crisis. Isn't that special? Speaking of Capitol Police, though, Capitol Police are going to open offices in California and Florida to investigate threats to members of Congress. Yay! United States Capitol Police released a letter on Tuesday morning announcing improvements the department has made since an unruly mob stormed the Capitol on January 6th, including plans to open field offices in California and Florida to investigate threats to members of Congress. We will never forget USCP officers Brian Sicknick and Howie Liebengood, who died after the attack. After the attack, not because of the attack, it's fasting, the language they use, nor the sacrifices of nearly 150 law enforcement officers who were injured, wrote acting USCP Chief Yogananda Pittman. Throughout the last 6 months, the United States Capitol has been working around the clock with our congressional stakeholders to support our officers, enhance security around the Capitol complex and pivot towards an intelligence-based protective agency. All right, okay. Let me ask a few questions here. And I personally, as far as this select committee, or this committee that is going to investigate what happened on January 6th, I was in full support of that, to be frank with you, because but not for the reasons they're doing it. Good morning, Mike Savage, blarg. Not for the reasons that maybe they want this committee. I want them to actually investigate January 6th. I want to know, one, why when President Trump asked for more security around the Capitol for that day, why that got rejected. I want to know why, if the FBI, which apparently knew some of this was going to happen, how did they not thwart it like they do with actual terrorist attacks? Also, how did they know? Where did they get the information that something might happen? Because it really wasn't planned. I mean, it was obviously they aren't doing an actual insurrection. There's no plan. They're just trying to get in the building. People had basically arrived and started fighting with police. That's not a plan. I want to know how they say the FBI knew that something was planned. How is it that they didn't thwart it? How is it they didn't have extra security because of someone knowing about the plan? And how did they find out about the plan? Did they have embeds? I also want to know why, when the National Guard, who is it? Someone called in the National Guard and they were denied, not by President Trump, but by the mayor of Washington, D.C. I want to know why that happened. I also want to know why Nancy Pelosi's office and Mitch McConnell's office rejected extra help, security, whatnot, until it was kind of too late. And I also want to know why were their officers on video just allowing people to come in? Because remember, the first person that got in, or the first group, who the two grandmas that have already been charged and I think they've already been convicted or something, they came in the Capitol through doors that were open. This was not someone breaking in, entering that particular door. The door was open. Oh, you know what else I want to do? I also want to find out, the two confirmed Antifa types, one of them who was breaking the windows for no apparent reason, and then the other one who, when they were entering the building, was saying things like, "Oh, burn that shit down," while he was filming, and then he sold his film to some news outlet and wasn't arrested at first. I think he's been arrested since. Where are those people and why were they there? How did they, happen to be in those circumstances? Those are questions that I have, that I would love to have the commission answer. I would love to have some pit bull Republicans on that committee asking those questions. Further, I want to know why are we investigating this incident but not other incidents? For example, we've had riots for over a year in many cities. Now, granted, those are not federal jurisdictions. However, the federal courthouse in Portland is, the federal building in Portland is, where they've been attacking that building all summer, and more recently, like I think it was in January, they did also. Where's that investigation? Where's the investigation of the attempted breach of the White House in 2018, or was it 2019? Remember when the jackholes were making fun of President Trump because he was hiding in a bunker? Well, why was he hiding? Because there was an attempted breach of the White House, including burning a guard shack and a church and whatnot. I think if people would have got on the White House lawn, those snipers on top of the roof might have got him. But But why? Why is there no investigation of that? You think that would seem like more like a coup attempt, more than more than slowing the Electoral College certification by Congress? Where are they? Where's the investigation on that? Or even an investigation when they were attempting to breach the United States Supreme Court building during Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation hearings, or the group that took over Nancy Pelosi's office long before January 6th. So there's so many questions that could be brought up in a committee like this. In fact, I am disappointed that the Republicans rejected this, even though it was, we knew it's gonna be sort of a anti-Trump witch hunt type of thing. But I think they should have signed on to this committee and been prepared to ask those kind of questions. Now, it could be that they know that a chair of any such committee is going to railroad them into not talking about anything else. Oh, Green New Deal supporters were arrested last week for blocking traffic at the White House. Oh, they did arrest that. Yeah, I knew that. That was when they blocked all the entrances. That's with Joe Biden in the office, though. Because, we can't challenge Grandpa, Grandpa Featherhead in Chief.
Come on, man.
Anyway, all right, let's keep going here because I got some more articles to go. So anyway, so the California police, they're going to open these offices in several states. Let's see. Other changes spurred apart by congressional investigations that reports by the department's internal watchdog include increasing traffic for officers alongside the National Guard, improved intelligence gathering efforts and protocol for reporting sensitive information, and new equipment and technology for officers. Okay, well, I have no problem with that, but anyway. All right. Go figure. All right. And we talked about, we already did that. We already did this existential crisis. All right. In other news that's just come up, there's a Los Angeles Police Department officer accused of circulating a meme mocking George Floyd's death. Well, now he's not going to face discipline. An internal disciplinary panel has found an LAPD's officer not guilty of administrative charges after the individual was accused of violating department policy by circulating a social media meme around Valentine's Day that mocked the death of George Floyd. I'm surprised they're not protesters around the police department in Los Angeles. Anyway, the decision means the officer, a sergeant who works at the LAPD Air Support Division, will not face termination, suspension, or other discipline, as was suggested would happen by Chief Michael Moore. Would you want your name to be Michael Moore right now? Anyway, when word of the meme investigation became public earlier this year, that's hilarious. Listen to those words in succession again. When word of the meme investigation became public earlier this year. The meme investigation. Oh, good Lord. Did they ever show the meme? I want to see what the meme was. Let's see. Department. Okay, so they chosen that. Okay, the not guilty decision was made by a panel of 3 hearing officers at a board of rights, which is an internal trial board that meets nearly always in private with no outside observers to guarantee allegations of misconduct leveled against LAPD officers. The officer's defense attorney did not immediately return messages or for comment on the decision. When the meme first became public, the officers' union, the Los Angeles Police Protective League, said in a statement that the image was abhorrent and said whoever was responsible should be held accountable. The league has not commented on the boards of rights decisions. So anyway, good. He shouldn't be. I mean, God, people. This is an interesting PJ Media article. Democrats are the real terrorists. And this is explaining what's really happening out there. Blood is flowing in the streets of American cities. Gang members and anyone in the vicinity are being shot by rivals. Random pedestrians are being shot and stabbed. Public transit customers are being stabbed with subway cars and thrown off the platform and onto the rails. Little children being shot in strollers on their porches and their car seats. In 2020, according to the Washington Post, murders rose 45% in New York City over 2019. In Chicago, they increased 56%, while in Seattle, a spike of 74%. Shootings rose 97% in New York across 57 large jurisdictions. Murder increased nearly 37%. In Minneapolis, homicides increased 60% in 2020, with many of the crimes left unsolved because there are fewer police, detectives, and other resources in the cases. Plus, carjacking is huge in Minneapolis right now. It's just frightening. As violent as 2020 was, 2021 is seeing skyrocketing violence over 2020. Murders in New York in the first 10 days of 2021 were double what they were in 2020. Murders in Chicago were up 46% the previous January. And homicides in Philadelphia were up 55% in 2020. According to the Chicago Tribune, Chicago by June 15th, 294 people were killed, more than in all of 2020. That's depressing. During last week in June, 77 people were shot and killed. Here are just a few. Okay, we don't have to go. I'm not going to go through the names, but here's some names you don't know. In fact, I am going to go through these names. Hello, Thomas Cleaver. Kapow! Nice to see you, my friend. Here's. I bet you don't know any of these names. Jamari Williams. Say his name. 18 years old, by the way. Jessica C. Johnson, 30 years old. Dante Manuel, 36 years old. Benjamin Barber, 62 years old. Marcus Lewis, 25 years old. Byron Dupart, 27-year-olds. Ramiro Morales, 19 years old. Tiara Banks, 31 years old. Mario Sanders, 31 years old. Darius Fairley, 20 years old. Carl Taylor, 32 years old. Jaslyn Taylor, 7 years old. Paul Williams, 43 years old. Martinisha Robinson, 18 years old. Devin Jackson, 34 years old. Verico T. Veal, 25 years old. Vicky T. Brayboy, 61 years old. These are fellow Americans who have lost their lives to violence. Should we not know their names? Say their names. Can you remember any of them? I'm going to remember Jaslyn Taylor. I'm going to look that one up. 7 years old. In Portland, as of end of May, 37 people died in homicides, a 700% increase from 2020. Shooting injuries tripled compared to 2020 and quadrupled compared to 2019. As reported in the Epoch Times on June 19th, in Chicago, a couple, Giovanni Arzuraga and Yasmin Perez, celebrating Puerto Rico Day, were dragged from their car by a mob and shot execution style. On the same day, in downtown Loop, Anat Kimchi, a Maryland graduate student studying criminal justice, was fatally stabbed by a homeless man. And to bring you up to date, on the first 3 days of 4th of July weekend, 82 people were shot in Chicago. 14 of the shooting victims died. Why is this happening? Well, this is what the story's about. The answer is that there has been in 2020 and 2021 a perfect storm of reckless endangerment by public officials. The, quote, justice reform, end quote, movement by far-left politicians and race activists found rich opportunities in 2020. Justice reform was needed, according to these sources, because criminals were not really responsible for their acts, but were victims of social inequalities imposed by capitalism. Yeah. Black prisoners were doubly victims because they were convicted of being citizens while black. That is by racism. The arrival of the Wuhan virus provided the excuse to de-incarcerate by releasing thousands of felons from prison, many of them violent offenders. This was the progressive thing to do. The governors, judges, and prison officials who co-sponsored to release convicted felons into the public were not, of course, on hand when many reoffended. But the victims of crime are of little interest to those concerned with justice reform. And then they go into the death of George Floyd and how that caused the whole BLM movement, which caused cities and towns, whatever, to reimagine policing, right? I'm going to reimagine policing. Race activists dismissed criticism about the burning down of both public property owned by all citizens and private businesses, in many cases owned by minority members, as unwarranted. They said that attacks on police were justified. Activists claimed that looting was unimportant. It was only things. Furthermore, they claimed looting was justified as reparations for slavery. Fascinating. Now this goes on and on, but a lot of it's just policy problems. I mean, you can read the rest of this, but a lot of this is just due to policies and the attitude that we're having towards police, and the fact that when police's hands are tied, guess who knows it? The criminals. The criminals come out at night. 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 All right, name the group. If you know what song and what the group is, you get a star. Speaking of criminals, 61 people arrested after descending onto downtown Chicago, wreaking havoc. Chicago police arrested 61 people Sunday night after a group took over the street, danced on cop cars, and set off fireworks, among other raucous behavior. Let's see. According to multiple reports, more than 100 people took to the streets and sidewalks in the Chicago area known as the Loop late Saturday, according to Fox 32. A police spokesman confirmed that to the local outlet that 61 people were arrested, with most being young adults along with some minors. Charges range from battery, disorderly conduct, and resisting arrest, according to the report. Police began receiving calls around 6:30 p.m. when some members of the crowd started launching fireworks. So this is kind of the scene here. Let's see if this will show it. This is kind of it, but this is where they were starting to... maybe this is where they're starting to show... Oh, they started lighting fireworks. Yeah, that's what happened. I didn't put... There's no sound on that, but that's okay. The scene where police attempted to control a group of hundreds, mostly younger people, in the Loop during the 4th of July holiday weekend Sunday in Chicago. According to Superintendent David Brown, more than 60 arrests were made and 2 officers were injured in the incident. But now officers, injured in those incidents. At least it's not an insurrection. Others are allegedly shooting bottle rockets at officers, jumping on top of police cars. Yeah, there were some scenes where they jumped on a police car. And I don't understand the phenomenon of jumping onto emergency vehicles and twerking, but that was happening because it just does. Anyway, greetings from Chicago. Also in Chicago, a Jewish student was killed by stray gunfire, so we know this is anti-Semitism, right? A Jewish University of Chicago student died Sunday after being struck by a stray bullet on a city train, the second Jewish student killed in recent weeks in the crime-plagued cities. Max Lewis, 20, was commuting home from a summer internship Thursday when the bullet passed into his train and struck his neck. First responders transported Lewis, who was in critical condition, to the University of Chicago Medical Center, where he passed away Sunday. Police say the student was not the shooter's intended target, according to the Chicago Sun-Times. Authorities have not provided a description of the suspect. And it just goes on to talk about some of the rising crime in Chirac. Someone put that. I just saw that in the corner of my eye. Thank you, Lord Stanhope. Yes. The wall around Chirac just got taller. Anyway. All right. Now this is kind of weird. Here's another one. This is kind of weird. So some asshat was punching and kicking horses in New York City. A New York city whack job, apparently wearing a first responder's emergency vest, went berserk, punching and kicking horses as they pulled carriages in Central Park yesterday. In a series of videos and pictures, the wild man appears to have a recent history of horse-hating behavior, showed up to a line of 5 carriages waiting for customers, began cursing them out, and then punched and kicked several of the horses. I would... We need a Darwin Award for this guy. If the horse, because a horse will fuck you up. I'm just telling you. We used to have horses, and you got to be really careful, especially if you're anywhere near their back legs. They will. One thing about when you walk behind a horse, you never walk. You never give a horse a space when you walk behind it. You need to always walk as close as you can, so that if the horse kicks, rather than kicking you, it just pushes you away. If you stand with any distance and a horse kicks you, good luck to your melon or whatever part of the body that horse kicks, because they are strong as hell. Anyway, so this guy right here. Is this the picture? Let me show you here. I hope they. Well, no. Oh, I see. This is just him hitting the horse. I thought I opened that New York Post article. Here, let's do this. Anyway, the Bronco Buster lined up to slug a 16-year-old mare named Mary. That's when handsome cab driver Henry Kaya pulled back on Mary's reins and dodged a full-on haymaker. Mr. Kaya then followed the Meshuggah man. That's crazy for in Yiddish. Videotaping him and asking why he attacked his horse. Kaya asked bystanders to call the cops. The crazy man stated, among other things, that the cops won't do nothing, and suggested he had a knife before walking away. This is supposedly not the first time the man has assaulted horses, according to a fellow horse carriage driver, Mario Angelici, who not only backs up Kaya's testimony, but stated that last Wednesday the same man spat on a white carriage horse, scared it by punching in the air near its face. Okay, throw away the key on this jackhole. Was it Sank? Was it Cenk Uygur? Some people take rejection hard. Oh, snap. Yeah, I'm avoiding the Cenk Uygur Jimmy Dore feud, but it's just boiling over into multiple lefty journalists, and it's kind of getting weird. Glenn Greenwald's got named the other day, and Aaron Matei and Caitlin Johnson's been tweeting about it, but Cenk's a piece of shit. And as much as I can't stand Jimmy Dore's politics, at least Jimmy Dore is honest. He's an honest person, and Cenk is he's just a piece of crap. But if you want to follow a Twitter feud, Cenk put out some post about Jimmy's wife. I don't know if it was last night or whatever, but this morning, Jimmy Dore went full barrel, pulling out some of the stupid shit that Cenk has said in the past, including a passage of M-bombs that who knows if he'll be able to explain it away. But anyway, FTG to this guy for punching horses. And I don't need to keep that one up. Oh, I think I do have the New York Post article. Here we go. His name is not Mongo, but a shirtless maniac stole a page from Blazing Saddles Monday, punching and also kicking 3 carriage horses at Central Park. So we already know. This is the dude that was punching horses. See, now this horse right here, that's a big horse. And I, just knowing a little bit about horses, you see the hoof size there. That is like a workhorse size horse. Yeah, that horse will fuck you up. I'm sorry. And if it wasn't on attached to a carriage, it might defend itself more. But at least the drivers were able to get the horses away from that jackhole. All right, real quick. Let's see, 10:04. I'm doing good. I talked yesterday about this Manhattan district attorney that, these district attorneys that Soros monies is putting into place. And this guy has vowed not to prosecute trespassing, prostitution, or resisting arrest. Again, we talked about how they're not going to be prosecuting minor offenses, and it's not good for cities. So anyway, Alvin Bragg, likely to become Manhattan District Attorney in New York City, has vowed not to prosecute a series of crimes, including trespassing, prostitution, and resisting arrest for nonviolent offenses. Was it resisting arrest? Oh, I see. Bragg, the presumptive Democratic nominee in the Manhattan District Attorney race, is running on a platform to stop prosecuting a series of what he calls minor offenses, despite surges in crime across New York City. I strongly reject any notion that prosecutions for low-level offenses should be used as a proxy for addressing serious and violent crimes, Bragg states on his campaign website. We will not deter serious and violent crime through arrest for petty offenses. Au contraire. Chat, who can tell me how Rudy Giuliani cleaned up the dregs that was New York City when he came into office? And what Michael Bloomberg kept that, as much as I can't stand Bloomberg, at least he kept the city safe. And they between the two of them, the revitalization of Times Square was huge. The lower rate in crime in Times Square. Times Square was a tourist destination that was safe to go to. And now people are getting shot there. So, F this guy. I'm not going to go back into that anymore. All right, let's get into, well, this is the little bit of coof news that I have for the day. Jen Psaki, everybody drink, warns that the unvaccinated to expect the government agents to show up at their doors. Really? Yes, Gun Fox, he went after low-level crimes, and that worked. It worked, and it worked, and it cleaned up New York. And that's, you stop a low-level crime, they don't like get bold and do bigger level crimes. Giuliani locked up everyone, and then when their moms complained, Giuliani locked them up too. Yeah. I don't know what this guy's thinking. He grew up in New York. We even saw that he was around during Giuliani's time. Anyway, according to the Centers for Disease Control, 67% of the adult population in the U.S. has received at least one dose of Stupid-19 Stab. And that's 172 million people. If you add to that the number, the 33 million Americans who have recovered from Stupid-19, this guy. Where was I? And likely have some level of immunity. That comes to a whopping 205 million people who are protected from the virus from the city that shall not be named out of a population of 328 million. This includes nearly 90% of the population most vulnerable to the virus, those 65 and older. While there is some overlap in the numbers, many people who recovered from Stupid-19 opted to get the vaccine. We're still looking at a remarkably successful campaign to get vaccines into the arms of anyone who wants one, but now that the vaccine rate is slowed, which it obviously would at some point, the White House is worried that it might look like Joe Biden is not doing enough. So Biden officials continue to nag, harangue, and threaten the unvaccinated among us, telling us to roll up our sleeves and do our civic duty. And now the Biden administration is warning those of us who continue to hold out that we may wake up one day to a knock on the door from a government agent. That's the end? Wait, where's Jen Psaki's, where's the video? Because Joe Biden said something like that the other day too in some speech, we need to go this, do that, maybe even go door to door. Because they didn't hit their 70% mark they wanted before July 4th. Weird. Anyway, Canada, what the hell's going on up there? So there's vandals burning down churches in Canada after the report that they've been finding some grave sites. A year after Black Lives Matter and Antifa riots ravaged cities across the United States, vandals and arsonists are targeting churches in Canada. The attack follows the news of more than 1,000 children placed in unmarked graves at Indian residential schools. Canada forced Native Americans, referred to as First Nations in Canada, to attend the boarding schools in an act that activists decry as a form of cultural genocide. Oh my God. Oh my God. On June 21st, arsonists targeted 2 Roman Catholic churches in tribal territory in British Columbia, Sacred Heart Mission Church of Penticton, and St. Gregory Mission Church in Osoyoos land. On June 26, arsonists burned down 2 more Catholic churches in British Columbia to the ground. Authorities also found that St. Paul's Anglican Church in Gitwanak First Nations land in British Columbia had been set on fire on June 26, but firefighters extinguished the blaze, mostly saving the church, Catholic News Agency reported. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police said all fires were suspicious and local... Thank you for letting us know that all the fires were suspicious. Yes, when the churches burn kind of simultaneously or nearly simultaneously, you might think it would be suspicious. I'm just saying, but thanks for letting us know that. Anyway, we're suspicious and local leaders attributed them to arson. On June 27th, arsonists lit fire at Siksika First Nation Catholic Church, but firefighters put out the blaze before it caused severe damage. On June 30th, arsonists so they've burned 4 to the ground. It looks like they have 5 or 6 others here that have been attacked. Vandals have not just attacked churches, but also toppled and decapitated the statue of Edgerton Ryerson, one of the designers of the residential school system. Publications at Ryerson University have moved to strike the figure's name from their publications. Protesters covered the statue of John A. Macdonald, Canada's first prime minister, and another originator of the residential school system, with black fabric. So yeah, they're Is the irony that burning churches down is also the form of cultural genocide lost on them? Oh, I didn't even think of that. Thank you, Avocados Diabli. I don't know why I didn't even think of that. Good morning, Asian Research Directorate, by the way. And then on Canada today, vandals tore down statues of Queen Victoria and Queen Elizabeth II. Police reported that vandals attacked 10 churches in Calgary, Alberta on July 1st. Some of the vandals wrote the number 215 on some of the churches, referring to the number of unmarked graves found at the first site. So this is, and if you're not familiar with Canadian history, between 1863 and 1996, Canadian authorities sent more than 150,000 First Nations children to residential schools administered by Catholic, Anglican, and other Christian churches. Until 1948, the government required most First Nations children to attend. Many of the children died from illnesses and malnourishment, and the government of Canada, which funded the schools, did not fund adequate burial procedures. The schools also apparently failed to notify parents of their children's death, and that's what the people are protesting. But it's interesting that they're doing it via arson. That didn't really come out right. Arson. So yeah, there's a little more about that, but it'll be down in the tabs below. Let's keep going. New poll. Now this is interesting, and you'll probably find it funny. 36% of people, let's look at what they use here, believe Biden is in charge. A majority say others are directing his agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, 36% of the people believe the President of the United States is in charge. Just over 1/3 of likely 2022 election voters believe President Joe Biden is truly in charge, while a majority say others are directing his agenda. Trafalgar Group Convention of the States Action Survey released Tuesday found the survey taken June 23rd to 25th. Among 1,086 respondents asked, do you believe President Biden is fully executing the duties of his office? A majority, 56.5%, said no. Others are directing policy and agenda. Gee, really? Compared to 36.4% who believe Biden is truly directing all his own policies and agenda items. He's not even he's not even choosing his own socks. Come on. Oh, while a majority of Democrats, 58.6%, believe he is directing his own policy and agenda, the same cannot be said of Republicans, 83.6%, who believe others are directing Biden's policy and agenda. Notably, a majority of independent voters agree with Republicans that others are calling the shots for Biden. Wow. You can, and then the next line here, President Lincoln's famous refrain that you can't fool all of the people all the time has never been more relevant and critical to the survival of our American Republic. Mark Beckler, President. Okay, whatever. That there's more in people's reaction to it, but we don't need to go there. Someone said they can't believe it's that high. King on Common Law, I see ya. And Jim Beam says that. Yeah, it's that high, which, thanks to, well, here's the thing. You know the thing.
You know the thing.
Only 58% of Democrats believe he's directing his own policy agenda. That's frightening. They don't even believe it. Holy smokes. Anyway, Eric Adams. Apparently Eric Adams has officially won. Well, let's see. The mess in New York with the mayor race. Well, Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams has won the Democratic primary for mayor of New York City. Apparently he appealing to the political center, blah, 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 blah. Let's just wait till they have the regular election. Who knows what's going to happen there. Let's see here. And then Nancy Pelosi put out a nice letter the other day on Independence Day, and I thought we should read it because, Nancy Pelosi is so inspiring and special, and I think we should read her words because, she's so, Anyway, here's Nancy Pelosi. She did a press release on July 2nd, 2021, the full text of Pelosi's Dear Colleague letter. She wrote to her colleagues this weekend, we gloriously observe the 4th of July, celebrating the birth of our democracy and the blessings of liberty bestowed on our country. The 4th of July is my favorite non-religious holiday. One when we draw inspiration from the great courage of our founders. I bet she thinks all the founders were racist. My favorite 4th of July quote this year was presented by Barbara Clark Smith, a curator of political history at the National Museum of American History, who said in that the signing of the Declaration of Independence was an extraordinary achievement, even though it was all white men, and was they did find a way to put differences aside and join together to work for a common goal. Oh, you bitch. While declaring independence, they also declared interdependence. Did they now? Oh my goodness. As we go forward, let us recognize the vision of our founders, except for the Second Amendment, always honoring their guidance, except for the Second Amendment and the 10th Amendment, e pluribus unum, from many one. Best wishes for a joyful and harmonious 4th of July weekend. So that's for her colleagues in Congress. That's okay. In my United States of whatever. All right, let's close that. And we got just a few more to get through. Professor Eddie Glaude rolls eyes on MSNBC when Christopher Rufo describes CRT material used in classrooms. He's a Princeton professor who appeared on MSNBC Morning Joe Tuesday, rolled his eyes when Manhattan Institute fellow and prominent critical race theory critic Christopher Rufo described the materials used in classrooms. Rufo said that parents are concerned about materials being taught to their children, including content about how whiteness is harmful. Well, it is harmful, isn't it? Hello, Fight for Your Rights. Yes, they do not belong in the mouth of Nancy Pelosi. You're correct, Advocate Diabli. He said CRT content is taught in hundreds of schools across the country. Critical race theory teaches children that America is fundamentally racist and entrusts them to view every interaction through the lens of race, while pro-CRT liberals and media have tried to say that it is not being taught in K through 12 schools. Several examples show that it is. Officials from the East Side Community School in Manhattan asked parents to reflect on their whiteness.
You're fucking a white male!
When they passed out literature on the 8 white identities. Fairfax County, Virginia decided to end admission tests for the prestigious Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology in favor of a holistic review process to increase diversity. The largest school district in New York City also replaced merit-based admissions to middle schools with a lottery system. The National Education Association recently pledged more than $127,000 to put CRT-based curriculum in place in more than 14,000 schools across the country. Now, again, this teachers union, they're spending money to place curriculum in the schools. I thought that was the school board's job. What are they trying to do here? They're trying to indoctrinate you. Okay, so let's see, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, here's the clip. How long is this? Oh, it has a commercial. Hang on. All right, we'll click that off for a second. Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Is this an ad for Cedar Rapids? Are you kidding me? Is that what I just saw? Okay, they have rock climbing out in a little nice wooden trail, whatever that is, and some building and a rock statue of some lions. This is an ad for. Okay, now look. Hang on a second. I have to pause. Oh, what the hell? Skip survey. Yeah, we're skipping the survey.
There's things that are happening.
Whoa. Hang on. Now, I grew up here in the Midwest, Nebraska. I'm more what they call the Midlands. Minnesota is kind of the end of the Midwest, sort of, although Nebraska is sometimes considered Midwest, but more considered the Midlands. And then I spent a lot of time in Iowa because I went to school at Drake University in Des Moines, Iowa, and I know a little bit about Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And those pictures and cool little sites they showed as far as tourist stuff in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Let's just say, meh. Now, if you want to go to a town where you can get some decent food and relax and not have a whole lot to, kind of muck up your peacefulness, Cedar Rapids is a fine little town. But I don't know what the tourist attraction Cedar Rapids is. I don't know. I have a friend who's from Cedar Rapids. We used to call him Drugs not because he did drugs, but it sounded like he talked like he did drugs. He kind of talks like this, but we really like him because he's a good guy, and we think he sounded like he did drugs all the time. But he is from Cedar Rapids, and Cedar Rapids, well, it's not the most exciting town, but it's a good place to grow up because the schools are decent and it's a nice little town. It is a nice town, but tourist, what would you do? I don't know what you would go see in Cedar Rapids. But then again, I love going to even smaller towns in Cedar Rapids and trying to find out what's cool there. That's kind of me and a hobby that Lady Boomer and I have. We'll go to a small town, we'll ask someone, okay, what's the coolest thing in this town? And they'll tell us that we'll go see it. And then we'll find someone else and we'll go, hey, if you were just going to have lunch and just, what's your favorite diner or what's your favorite place to get breakfast, that's, local to this town. And so then we do that. So that'd be fun to do in Cedar Rapids, but see, Cedar Rapids is a little bigger than towns we like to do that. We'd like to go smaller than that, like Alexandria, Minnesota, or Winterset, Iowa, or stuff like that. Places where there's something really weird. Like Winterset is where the Bridges of Madison County and John Wayne birthplace is. That was cool. Or there's a little town called, what's the little town? There's a town with a windmill in Iowa where they dismantled a Danish windmill and they imported to this town, and it's in the middle of this town, a big old Danish windmill. Anyway, what's in Iowa? The Field of Dreams. Oh, that'd be a town to go to. I would dig that. Anyway, I live here isn't bad for Iowa. Oh, wait, who said I live? Wait, oh, Cedar Bad isn't bad for Iowa. What's in Iowa? Oh, no one said that. I live here. It always sucked. In Cedar Rapids? Cedar Rapids is not bad. Anyway, all right. Here's Christopher Rufo and this guy. Watch the guy roll his eyes.
Hundreds of public schools in Illinois and Chicago where they're teaching children as young as kindergarten that whiteness is the devil and attempts to lure people into it with the promise of stolen land and stolen riches. That's a book that's being used in hundreds of schools. And people don't think that's right. People want to know where it comes from. People want to know what ideologies inform it.
What's the name of that book? Just for the record, what's the name of that book?
Sure. The book is called Not My Idea. It's being taught in hundreds of schools in Illinois and Chicago. It's actually the subject of a federal lawsuit by a teacher named Stacy Demar, who protested this and was forced to teach it. And these are the kind of things you can retreat to the defensible territory of saying it's just looking at the history of racism in society. But when you actually look at the specifics, they're telling kids that they are fundamentally racist because of the color of their skin. They're telling people that they should feel shame, guilt, and anguish because of their inborn characteristics and traits. These are the kind of lessons that I've uncovered in dozens of schools. It's now being endorsed by the NEA in 14,000 public school districts across the country. And you can't retreat because parents know what they're seeing every day. Parents know what they're seeing when children come home with workbooks like Not My Idea. And they're they're rightly and very strongly pushing back.
Okay, so Eddie, let me tell you, this is interesting, and it's something that
I think this cuts
people
off
won't say
here
when they're on the television.
Anyway, the eye roll. That's what they're laughing about in this article. Anyway, let's keep going. Another. I've got two stories about Canada today. I thought I had one, but I have two. So apparently, legal experts are warning of the coming Canadian Ministry of Truth and a modern inquisition. So last month, Canada's Liberal Party, headed by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, proposed legislation to criminalize hate speech online, punishable by a $50,000 or 40,000 US paid to the government. So you can pay the government if you use hate speech online. A former Crown prosecutor and lawyer who has appeared at every level of court throughout Canada raised an alarm about the new bill, telling PJ Media that it would undermine Canadians' rights and punish independent thought. Bill C-36 is calculated to punish legal independent thought and crush it out wherever it finds it, using punitive fines and imprisonment. According to Jay Cameron, he's a litigation director at the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms. Heritage Minister Stephen Guilbeault clearly aspires to be a director of the new Canadian Ministry of Truth, a modern inquisition where every social media post is scrutinized by spying bureaucrats with the power to censor and to punish Canadians until they submit. This sounds like what they do in Scotland. That's not good. The Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, specifically intended to protect individual Canadians from legislation like Bill C-36, Section 2B, protects freedom of thought, belief, opinion, and expression specifically because there will always be tyrants who gain governmental power and then abuse it by attempting to compel citizens to think and speak in accordance with orthodox diktat. Cameron argued, emphasis is the original. So, boy, Canadians, you might want to read the rest of this one. But sounds like, yeah, because who determines hate speech? Who determines what is hate speech? The people who are in power, right? What if you'd say something bad about the people in power? Is that hate speech? Oh gosh. And also, do you really, I this whole idea of the government monitoring your social media posts. Just, that's a little creepy to me, but you Canadians, that's kind of, that's that parliamentary system you guys like. Anyway, moving on. This is, oh, good Lord. Biden had another kind of an angry moment here, and he walks off stage as people were trying to ask him questions. Here's just the clip. Here it is. Oh, is this Daily? This is Daily Wire, isn't it? Gosh dang, Daily Wire every dang time, freaking sickin', rackin', sackin', meckin', meekin', mickin', brockin', sorry, I had a brain fart there. Here, let's watch it on Twitter, where you might actually get some volume about the question. So Biden just. Oh, this is the part where, this is the other part where he's reading off his notes to answer a question on Russian cyber attacks.
Can you tell us if you believe that rises to the level of U.S. retaliation?
I can tell you a couple things.
Okay, look at this. So they asked him a question about the Russian cyber attacks. Hang on, let's listen to this again.
Mr. President, on the latest ransomware attack, can
it's
you
only
tell
in your
us
left
if you
ear if
believe
you're
that
on
rises
headphones,
to the
if
level
you're
of
wondering.
U.S. retaliation?
I can tell you a couple things. I received an update from our national security team this morning. It appears to have caused minimal damage to U.S. businesses, but we're still gathering information to the full extent of the attack, and I'm going to have more to say about this in the next several days. We're getting more detail and information. That's what I can tell you now, and I feel good about our ability to...
Is Putin testing? Mr. President, on the latest...
So, and then he walks off when they try to ask him a follow-up question because he has to read off his notes. He has to read off his notes. And now, did he know that question was coming? I'm just curious. Now, here's another one where he has to read off his notes to answer a question.
This means
We're not
that...
sure it's the Russians.
Okay,
I got a brief as I was on the plane. That's why I was late getting off the plane. I got a brief and...
Oh, what's this? Hang on.
All right.
Would you like your receipt? Do you know who it might be, sir?
I'll be in better shape to talk to you about it. Hang on a second. I'll tell you what they sent me. Okay. The idea, first of all, we're not sure who it is for certain, number one. And what I did, I directed the full resources of the government to assist in a response if we determine what else you need.
Oh, nothing. You're all set.
Okay. And the fact is that I directed the intelligence community to give me a deep dive on what's happened, and I'll know better tomorrow. And if it is either knowledge of
my God, it's just pathetic. I can't do it.
You didn't tell them already, sir?
No, I haven't called because we're not.
How does he not know?
We're not certain. The initial thinking was it was not the Russian government, but we're not sure yet.
So they ask him a question. He fumbles around. Oh, I got some information. Then he pulls an answer out of his jacket pocket while he's ordering ice cream. I want to know who's writing those note cards because he's not writing them. I want to know. I just want to know. Hello, Uncle Bad Touch.
Come on, man.
Why can't you just answer a question without pulling out your note cards, dude? I'm talking to you, Uncle Bad Touch. Oh, that is just painful. Anyway, also now a Biden official challenges reporter during a press briefing. This doesn't go well either. This is I can't remember. I have to pull this off a tweet or two. Just a second here. It's funny because I saw these earlier, and then Daily Caller or Daily Wire puts them out, and I'm like, why can't theirs go live? So here's here's one.
Different things here. These are apples and oranges. Yes. Well, on your second question, Matt, I think you're actually confusing different things here. These are apples and oranges. Yes, we changed quite a few U.S. policies across a number of fronts, but I think you would be hard-pressed to find an international agreement that the United States signed on to during the last administration that this administration has jettisoned.
Whoa, there's a challenge. Now that's a challenge. He said he doubts there's a international agreement that the last administration signed on to that we have jettisoned, gotten rid of. That's a challenge for the reporter. Let's see how the reporter responds.
Done away with. This is the point that we have made in any number of different...
How about the Geneva Protocol on the anti-abortion stuff?
This was the point that we have made on any number of steps about the importance of the durability of American foreign policies, American foreign policy across administrations.
How about the agreements with the Northern with Mexico and the Northern Triangle? Those are international agreements that you guys jettisoned.
These are. Matt, no, I think.
I mean, you just challenged me to come up with an international agreement that the previous administration signed that you guys have walked away from, and I just gave you, I think, 3.
So, well, I think he answered that. Well, I think he would have done better than Joe Biden did on that, though. Anyway, all right, I'm late, and I want to finish up, but I do have one other thing that I want to show you, and or at least go through, because this is really good, and I want to talk about if you Ozzie Guillen, former shortstop and or not shortstop, I can't remember. I'm thinking Ozzie Smith. He was a White Sox player, and he was a former Major League Baseball player, and he had his citizenship ceremony, and I want to show you this because this is really, he's talking about this, and this is just inspirational. And let me make sure this clip comes up before I put it up here. So here's Ozzie Guillen talking about becoming a U.S. citizen, how proud he is of that day.
Of 2006, that's when you became an American citizen. How about this?
Here we go.
You became an American citizen. You were born in Venezuela, and what this country means to you. And it was, got the date right here, January of 2006. That's when you became an American citizen. How about this day? What did that mean to you that day?
It's special. People, they don't know how hard that is. How many people die, how many people open the thing, how many people want to be American. It's a very honor for me to do that.
Yeah, you're really emotional right now. Why are you so emotional and tearing up out in it?
I don't know. Opportunities, man. Opportunities. Opportunity opened the door for me and being great. I've been living in this country for a long time, giving my family a great cause, and open the door for them to be who they are.
You didn't know that video was coming. Maybe that caught you by surprise.
Maybe that was.
Yeah.
It was funny, but I don't cry that often. I'm a very tough guy, but seeing that, I know how that means to me and my family.
Yes.
All right. So that's, how important it is for some people to show their appreciation for this country. And I'm going to put out a question today later on Twitter. I'm going to do just a real short, probably 30-second video. Good morning, Check Your Logic and John Arnott. Asking that question because, we talked earlier this week about Gwen Berry and Corey, what is her name? The congresswoman from Cori Bush, the congresswoman from St. Louis, and Maxine Waters, and all these people who we're talking about how celebrating the independence of this country, this Independence Day, 4th of July, was not for black people. And I want to know, I'm going to ask that question today, is the celebrating of independence, for black people or for Ozzie Guillen, for people who are immigrants or whatever, should we celebrate that day? Because there seems to be a growing number of people who believe we don't, and I want to know why. I want to know why people think that way. So I'm going to put a question out. I'm going to make a short video and put it out on Twitter. If you follow me on Twitter, or if you see that video, please share that when I put it out. And because I want to get some answers. And then on Friday, I want to invite some people on here to talk about that, because I kind of gave you my view already, right? I told you what my view was the other day. But I want to hear from other people, and I want to hear why they say yes we should, why they say we shouldn't, and I maybe have that discussion. So that's that discussion is going to come up hopefully in 2 days. I'm going to get that video out today and get some people on that to talk about that. But just seeing him tear up, remembering how important it was for him to become an American citizen. He's a baseball player. He's from Venezuela. Now, and he came here before Venezuela lost its mind, so to speak. And he was here, before it got really bad down there. And I can imagine how hard it is for him to see that country turn into what it has. But this man's an American citizen now. He's an American. And so proud of it. And I wonder why we cannot all be proud of this country, despite things that have never been perfect. But is it because of the country, or is the things in our country made possible because of the steps that those first guys that said, you know what? In the course of human events, that start with that sentence, pursuing life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Does that apply to us now? Do those words still apply, regardless of what was going on when they said them or wrote them? When they signed that document, isn't it that event that makes everything that we have today possible? Yes, there's a long history in between that day and today, but everything that we have today was made possible by that one event, that one extraordinary event that shook the world and through all the good and bad, made the world better. So if you see that short video today, please share it out. It's very important that I want to get as many answers as I can before Friday, and hopefully get a few people, encourage them to come on and talk about it on my show on Friday. We'll be back here tomorrow at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central, like we're here every day, Monday through Friday. By the way, if you have not hit the like button, we're about to close out. Hit the like button before you go, and share the stream out. And if you would like to be a sponsor of the show, you can do that several ways. Those are down in the description down below. Also, if you are watching on replay, please put a comment in the comment section. Let me know you're here, or even if you're just here now and you're bored later, come back and put a comment in the comment section if you missed the beginning of the show. All right, I need to leave. So thanks everyone for coming today. All you people lurking, good to see you. Everyone in the chat, thank you. My name is PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Hey, this is PDawgKnight, and thank you for watching today on the PDawgKnight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cashapp, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here.